Suppose you are a supplier and you have supplied some automotive parts to a four-wheeler or two-wheeler manufacturing company, and by mistake one of the part was having a crack and it has gone to the customer end, means the manufacturer end who is making this car or two-wheeler, and it also gets assembled, and after that sometime he gets a complaint from the user that this part has broken and he has lost his precious time. He was to attend some marriage and because of this breakage he could not go. So it's a very big loss, and he also, nowadays this insurance policy cover a very heavy penalty if something goes wrong at the customer end because of the supplier mistake or the manufacturer mistake. And if suppose the part is safety related to engine, then you know that cars are running at a very high speed, and if the part fails in between, that the engine seizes immediately and it may cause a great accident or maybe death also. So in that case, you just imagine what could be the penalty on the manufacturer of the car. So he ultimately claimed this thing from you, and he also says that it's a wrong thing and you have supplied a crack parts. And what he does ultimately, he identifies the batch code and everything, whether it was forging or it was heat treatment, and then he recalls all the cars at his end, because now he has a doubt that don't know how many cars have gone with the crack parts. And then he calls you back and asks you to sort out all the components, whether they are having a crack or not. So it's a very heavy penalty on you also, and heavy penalty on the manufacturer also. So how to avoid this situation? This situation can be only avoided when you check the part, each part, whether it is on forging stage or raw material stage or even heat treatment stage and even finishing stage, that there is no crack which goes to the customer end. So you have to ensure that pieces or components which are going to customer end, they are crack free. This particular thing is done with magnetic particle inspection, part 8 of this particular series. And before I go to part 8, let me remind you the earlier parts which I have already uploaded. Part 0 on introductory, then part 1 was chemical analysis, part 2 was Brenner hardness test, part 3 on Rockwell hardness testing, part 4 on Vickers hardness testing, part 5 on portable hardness testing, part 6 on tensile testing, and part 7, the last part, was on micro examination. So please go through each part, otherwise you will not get the proper benefit which you should get it with all this presentation. So without wasting your time, I am coming to the part 8 on magnetic particle inspection. Hello friends, Metallurgical Quality Control Series 1, Part 8 on Magnetic Particle Inspection. I welcome all of you on my channel Jagdish Chaubey. So today we'll be discussing in this video about magnetic particle inspection, which is one of the non-destructive method used for detecting subsurface or surface cracks in steel. I will be discussing particularly on steel, and this particular system is applicable only to steel and not for the non-ferrous. So let us see what is the coverage in this. So coverage is types of MPI, what are the types of MPI, test equipments which are used in this system, test methods and procedures, then precautions to be taken during this MPI, problems and possible solutions, and the last slide is on application and advantages of MPI. So what is MPI? The definition of MPI is magnetic particle inspection is a non-destructive testing process for detecting surface and slightly subsurface discontinuities in ferromagnetic material. The underline is ferromagnetic material where this system is used, and this is one of the non-destructive testing system, and where you can detect surface and slightly subsurface discontinuities in the material. So this is how definition of MPI is there. Now, how you see, what is the process, what is the theory behind this, that you can see the crack. So this is, suppose the piece is there, this test piece with north and south pole like this, and then these are the lines of force, okay, or this magnetic flux. So they are passing like this, but wherever there is a crack, they will jump like this, okay, jumping takes place, and from this crack area, this magnetic flux will have a leakage, means it will go outside. So once it goes there on the surface, then whatever magnetic powder you are spraying on this, it gets stuck up because the powder is also magnetic, and this magnetic flux is there, which is coming out, leakage is there. So this will get stuck up, and you will see under ultraviolet light a particular crack in this direction. In this case also the similar thing. The only difference is here it is shown like this, and again the crack is like this, slightly subsurface. Then again lines of force will be traveling like this around the jumping, and when it comes on the surface, this jumps like this. So this again there is a leakage of magnetic flux, and this powder, since it is a fluorescent powder, it is used here, so it gives a light green color. So you can recognize under ultraviolet rays that this is a crack. So this is how this crack is detected and seen under MPI. Now I'll tell you about the various steps which are taken in MPI. The first is magnetize the test piece. Second, apply the magnetic powder. And third one, inspect with your ultraviolet rays or with naked eyes also. And the last one is demagnetize. Whatever pieces are being magnetized, it has to be demagnetized at the end. Okay. Why it is has to be demagnetized, I will tell you in the next coming slides. Okay. Let's go further. Now, types of MPI, which I have just mentioned earlier. What are the types? So, first is dry technique, and the second one is wet technique. In dry technique, you are using a dry magnetic powder with colored pigments like red or black. Generally, these red or black colors are used, but in dry technique, they are less sensitive to fine surface cracks. If the cracks are very fine nature, then it is not that sensitive. Whereas in case of wet techniques, where you use a bath, okay, that is called a magnetic bath, and it is being sprayed over the surface during magnetization. So fluorescent magnetic powder suspended in an aqueous means water or light petroleum distillate like kerosene oil. This is being sprayed over there, and this particular wet technique is highly sensitive to even fine subsurface or surface discontinuities. So this is a difference between a dry technique and a wet technique. Now, the last there is a note. The aqueous suspension must contain some inhibitor and wetting agent to avoid rusting of the components. Why it is required? Because in aqueous solution, when you do magnetization, when the piece is taken out, then after some time it gets rusted because of this water content. So to avoid this rusting, you have to add some inhibitor or wetting agent so that the piece is not getting rusted after some time. So this is a precaution that you have to take when you are doing wet technique using a different type of powder. Okay, so that is the requirement for aqueous solution. And for fluorescent, you can see under ultraviolet light, there is no problem with this. Okay. Now I am coming to equipment. You see, there are two types of equipment. One is fixed type, and the other one is movable or portable type. These all three are of portable nature. So I'll just describe in brief about this particular fixed one. So this is a particular machine where this tank is there. The bath is prepared here using kerosene oil. Generally kerosene oil is used, but sometimes now people are using water also. So this bath is prepared along with this magnetic powder, and then the piece is fixed over here, and this is the foot pedal. This is being pressed, the current passes through this, and this is again coil is there for a different type of magnetization. And when you examine under ultraviolet, this ultraviolet lamp holder is there. So under this lamp, when you examine this, you find if there is a surface crack, it will glow like anything, like yellow or light green color, and you can detect it. So this is how this system is done. But this thing is, everything is done under black curtain. It is done under dark curtain, so that this particular light and cracks are quietly visible. If you do under the daylight condition, that it will take time to recognize the crack. So it has to be done under dark light conditions. Okay, for that this curtain is made. Okay. Now I come to this. This is a prod type of magnetization. This again, this is a total your power supply system, and these are the various pipes which are connected to the prods. See, these are the two prods in his hand. Two prods are there, and he is examining some weld surface. So the only thing is that you have to keep these prods under a specific spacing so that the cracks comes in between. And when you apply, in this case we are using generally dry powder, that too red color or black color. But when you magnetize it, the cracks will, the magnetized powder will come on this crack, and you can see with naked eyes whether red or black powder, you can see with the naked eye. Similarly, this also system is there, and this is a magnetic yoke, and this is a pure magnet with north and south. Same thing is there. It has to come on the two ends has to come in between the cracks, and then you can see it. Spacing is very important. I'll tell you in the coming slides about this also. And the last one is demagnetizer, which I have earlier described. This is a total disk drive system. So demagnetize, you place this on this system, and you pass a current over here, and this is a particular coil. It is having a reverse polarity so that it gets demagnetized. You have to pass this piece. This is a hole basically here, a rectangular hole. You have to pass this 1 or 2 times just to see that it is totally demagnetized or not. But how to confirm it is demagnetized or not? There is a separate instrument called field indicator. I will be telling in coming slides. This is a very clear picture. Now, earlier I have told you in the first time that you have to magnetize it. So there are 2 types of magnetization, mainly circular and longitudinal, and the third one is a combination of both, circular and magnetic. This is a Ampere's thumb rule. You see this, where this thumb is there, and the current direction is in this direction. Okay. So it is said that if the current is passing like this, the magnetic field will be developing just 90 degrees. Or if the magnetic field is 90, current will pass in the vertical direction. This is one of the technique which is being used for this thing. Here again you see, this is called circular magnetization, and this will reveal longitudinal cracks, means horizontal cracks. In this case, the current is being passed over here. Okay, it goes current, and as I told you in the Ampere thumb rule, it will develop a magnetic field like this, circular magnetization. So this field is called circular magnetization, and then the crack, if it is here, then it will appear here. One thumb rule is there. Whatever the direction of the current is there, crack will show in that particular direction. This you have to remember. Okay. So this is the one thing, circular. Then come to the next, which is longitudinal magnetization. In this case again, you see this is a particular coil. Current is being passed in this coil. Okay, it is in a circular form. Okay, round circle. So the magnetic field, current is passed, and the magnetic field will be a longitudinal magnetic field. Like, okay, I'm not able to show it, but you can just assume that the bar length, along with that, this magnetic lines of force are there, longitudinal. Here it was circular, here it is longitudinal, and cracks which are in vertical direction, they are being seen here, irrespective of this, that in this case the cracks are, if this direction, then you can see, in this case it is just vertical. Okay, these type of cracks, if they are there, then it is seen under longitudinal magnetization. Now there is one more is combined. In some of the machines they provide combined magnetization also, means it will reveal both this horizontal cracks as well as vertical cracks. So that is why it is known as combined, and sometimes even radial cracks are also observed during combined magnetization. So this is the magnetization theory about this. Then I come to type of current. As I have shown you previous slide, you have to pass current, but what are the current type? So types of currents, basically AC current, mostly used in MPI, however reveals only surface crack. Generally we are using AC current, but this reveals only surface cracks. It doesn't go into the deep into the subsurface crack. It can reveal surface crack, and generally this is being used in the most of the cases. Then there is a direct current. This generates magnetic field that penetrates deeper into the material. So in that case, if the crack is slightly subsurface also, it will reveal the subsurface crack also. And this is when you are using a direct current. Then there is a third type of current, that is rectified alternating current, because the source is AC, but then you put a rectifier which converts AC into DC, and then you check. Again, this can also reveal subsurface or subsurface crack, both types. And the last one is half wave DC. It is basically for detecting subsurface discontinuities, and it is very good, and the depth of surface which you can reveal is quite high as compared to these three processes when you are using half wave DCs. Okay. Now methods. Second was, what are the methods? So methods are, again, there is one method is wet method. In wet method also there are two types, and the other method is dry method. So wet method, there is a continuous magnetization. This method is because you are magnetizing the piece, passing the current, at the same time you are spraying the bath also. Magnetized bath, that bath you are using for magnetic bath, that has to be sprayed here. So it is done simultaneously, continuously. But in case of residual, first you magnetize the piece, then you spray the bath on the test piece just to see the just to see the crack under ultraviolet rays. Okay. Now magnetic powder, I have mentioned about this fluorescent coating. This fluorescent coating is nothing but it's a coating of phosphorus, and this, when you see under ultraviolet light, this glows like anything, yellow or light green color, so that you can easily recognize the crack is there or not. Okay. In case of continuous, you are using colored particles, generally red or black particles are being used. These are various colors which are being used for residual magnetizing, where you are using even continuous magnetizing also. You can use this powder, but it will be red and black, and it can be seen under naked eyes. That is the difference. Whereas for this fluorescent, you can see only in the ultraviolet colors. Now the size of the powder is generally 0.5 to 10 micron is being taken. Then the carrier medium is kerosene oil or water, which I have earlier explained. Then the bath concentration, whatever bath you are making, magnetic bath that you are making, either whether in kerosene or in water, it has to be checked for its strength by this centrifuge method. There is a centrifuge tube is there, chemical fuse is there, and the last part of the tail part of this is graduated in milliliters, and then you have to see if it is a fluorescent powder, then the particles should settle after half an hour, 1 hour, 0.1 to 0.4 milliliter. If it is settling in this, it means your strength is okay. In case of colored particles like black, red or black, then it has to settle 1.2 to 2.4 milliliter for colored particles. So this way you can check the strength of the bath, whether it is okay or not. Now that was earlier was wet method. Now I come to dry method. In this, dry particles are dusted on the surface of the test object, as the item is magnetized. In this case, again, you are putting this dry powder, whether it is black or red, and a particular bulb type of there, like you have seen this rickshaw bulb they are using for just alert siren type of thing. So the same type of bulb is being used, and you have to press it and it will spray on the part. So you have to magnetize it and press it. So this way, dry particle inspection is well suited for the inspection conducted on rough surfaces. The primary application of dry powder are underground unground welds and rough as cast. This particular dry method is generally used for your heavy casting, rough surfaces, and welding. Weldments are heavy weldments. These things you cannot put on the fixed machine because of their weight and other thing. So in this case you have to use prod technique or movable technique, and there you have to use this dry powder either in black or red color, and then you can see the crack. Now dry particle inspection is also used to detect shallow subsurface crack, as I explained earlier also. Dry particles with half wave DC, which I have earlier explained, half wave is the best approach when inspecting for crack of root penetration in weld. In case of welding also, in root penetration, whether it is penetrated well or not, and if it is penetrated and if there is any crack, then it can be seen with this half DC only. Otherwise you cannot see it. Okay, a lot of these weld beads are there, sometimes they confuse also. So in this case you have to spray powder, optimum powder, not very large amount, otherwise it will confuse you. So use only optimum powder, and then you can see the cracks up to even subsurface cracks also. But you have to use half wave DC to see under subsurface crack. Current requirement. What are the current requirement for? Because I have told you on the earlier slide that if you have to magnetize it, you have to pass current. So in case of circular magnetization, you have to pass 250 ampere per centimeter or 500 ampere per inch. Means whatever the job thickness is there, if the diameter of the job is around 1 centimeter, then you have to use 250 ampere current. Okay, circular magnetization. If it is longitudinal, you have to do, then in this case, this L by D ratio, if it is 2 to 15 millimeter, then you have the ampere turn. In this case, there will be, I have told you in the earlier slide that there is a meter which is K80, kilo ampere tons. So this is being used here. This is 45,000, means 45 kilo ampere tons, divided by L into the length of the part into diameter. If you do this, you can calculate the current, what is the current needed on the K80 meter, and then you have to do the magnetizing. Circular magnetization using prods, in this case, for parts up to 19 millimeter thickness, 3.5 to 4.5 ampere per millimeter of prod spacing. Again, I told you that depending upon the prod spacing, you have to use 3.5 to 4.5 ampere per millimeter of the prod spacing. For parts more than 19 millimeter thickness, 4.5 ampere to per millimeter of the prod. Again, the prod spacing is very important, and the prod spacing generally is between 50 millimeter to 200 millimeter. So depending upon prod spacing, you have to use various types of current in various amount. Okay. In longitudinal magnetization using wrapped coil, see in that case also welding, where I have shown you prod type, there are coils are there which you have to wrap it either 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turn, and then you have to pass the current using prods. So in this case also there is a typical formula, ampere turns, 35,000 divided by part length oblique part dia plus 2. By this you can calculate the current requirement for longitudinal magnetization in case of coil magnetization. Now this I am showing you some of the inspection tools which are being used to verify whether this machine is okay or not, whether whatever you are doing, this system is working effectively or not, whether it is showing cracks or not. So in this case, the first thing is pi gauge. This is basically octagonal shape steel plate made, and the top area is copper plated with artificially created cracks also. Now what you have to do, you take this, magnetize the piece, put this case flat on the surface, and then you pass the current and magnetize it. And if the cracks are seen here, then it means your strength and current and everything is okay, and the machine is working perfectly. But if it is not showing, it means something wrong either with salt bath, bath strength, or even current requirements are not proper. So this is for particular examination, and this needs to be verified time to time. Again, this also calibration of the machine or something, this is one of the important part. Maybe depending upon your workload you have to check, verify this system weekly or maybe fortnightly, whatever your workload is there, or sometime even in a month also you can check it. Then this is one is Kito's ring. You see these different black holes are there with different depth. So this also you can check and whatever depth is mentioned, maybe 0.1, I'm not sure, but I'm just telling you 0.1 millimeter this, 0.2 millimeter this, 0.3 millimeter this. So in this case, when you keep it on the place, and if this is shown, it means it can detect even 0.1 millimeter subsurface crack. So this is for subsurface case. It can easily verify that under what depth you can detect it, the crack. Then the third thing is your reference test sample, test blocks. Generally it is made having a number of cracks. You see all these green lines in network form cracks are there. This also the same thing. You have to put it and confirm whether these cracks are visible or not. When all these things are seen under what? Under ultraviolet rays. So this is the ultraviolet system. This is a lamp and this is the stand. Okay. Then this is sprayed on the surface, maybe on this also, and then you can check it. Then you can check it and confirm it whether what type of crack is there or not, or basically the machine is working properly or not. Now the last one is this field indicator. As I told you in the beginning that you have to use demagnetizer at the end. So how to confirm it has been demagnetized or not? So this is the field indicator which is being used. So you have to put this field indicator on the test piece and it should show 0. If it is showing less left or right, it means it is not properly demagnetized. Maybe then you have to pass that piece again 2 or 3 times and again confirm whether it is demagnetized or not. Why it is required, I will tell you in some next slides. Okay. Now this I am showing some of the typical appearance of the cracks. This is under weldment condition. The weld beads are there. Again, if you are putting lot of powder, it will confuse also. So in this case also, under this particular dry powder condition, and if you are using half wave DC, you can see even subsurface crack also. It's not visible. You see this is the dark area is there. Maybe this is the crack which is seen. So you can see even subsurface cracks also. This is dry powder. You have used this red color dry powder. Okay, in the continuous method. The solution is made out of this, and then you see this crack appears like this. This is under ultraviolet rays, under fluorescent powder which you have used. Again, this will shine like anything. So you see this is the crack. This crack is there, very clearly seen. Similarly, here also same thing, and here also again you see this is slightly light green color is there. In this also yellow and light green color. So this way you can easily recognize whether this is a crack or something else. Okay. Now demagnetization. I was telling you about this, that why you have to demagnetize. This slide explain about this. After conducting a magnetic particle inspection, it is usually necessary to demagnetize the component. A remnant magnetic field can, because if there is some amount of magnetic field remaining in the part, then it can cause following things. What? Number one, it can affect machining by causing cutting to clinch to a component. Means when you are, if it is magnetized has not gone properly, then when you are machining this particular piece, whatever chips are coming, it will stick to the part, and then it can cause a damage to the part also. Okay, maybe severe scratch mark or something. So that way it can damage the part. So this is the one of the disadvantages, that you should not have a magnetic field after doing this. So you have to do demagnetization. Now the second is interfere with the electronic component such as compass. In this case also it can reflect different way if the piece is not properly demagnetized. Then the third one is it can cause abrasive particles to cling to bearing or flying surfaces and increase wear. Again the same thing, if you are using some bearing or something and something is left, it has not been properly demagnetized, then this will attract some of the parts within that assembly system, whatever is there, and that will act as a abrasive particles, and maybe it can spoil the system, maybe it can stop the working of that where this assembly or this bearing is fitted, okay, and that it can cause a halt to the total system. So with this disadvantage, you have to remove magnetization. How you do it? The first thing is by heating. If you heat it, then whatever this magnetic force and alignment is there, that gets reversed, but then you have to confirm again through this field indicator. And the second thing is that This is a demagnetizer which I had shown earlier also, and this is the particular coil. You pass that piece through this 2-3 times, and then again you have to see the current is passed in reverse polarity so that it gets demagnetized. Okay, that is the difference. And then you have to confirm through this field indicator. So the effectiveness of demagnetization can be checked by field indicator. This I have explained to you. Now, what are the precautions? What are the precautions that has to be taken? In case of fixed equipment and continuous wet magnetization, always place a copper shield at the ends to avoid burning of the test piece in case current is higher. So in this case, if this is a fixed case, you have seen earlier also in that particular photograph, you have to place a copper shield also. It will just protect if the current is very high. Otherwise, the piece will have a burning mark also at the end, and it will damage the appearance of the part. Okay, it may cause even sometime fire also. If the current is high and you have not put any copper shield, then spark will be there, and because of this vapors, which is kerosene oil vapors, it may catch fire also. So you have to take precaution. Then bath strength and current used must be verified by pi gauge before starting inspection. This also I have explained, that you have to confirm that bath strength and current, whether this machine is working all right or not, through this pi gauge system. Okay, by checking this cracks which are artificially created. Then test piece must be fixed rigidly, otherwise it may cause spark. Again, this is again prime requirement. The test piece has to be fixed though they are fixed pneumatically with lot of jerks, but even if something is left, then you have to confirm that they are fixed very rigid. Then personal safety related to fire exposure and oil vapors and eye protection must be adhered during operation. This personal safety of persons who are doing this MPI, this you have to take lot of precaution, because they are exposed to this oil vapors, kerosene oil vapors, or maybe some fire may be related because of this oil vapors, and their eye protection system is also there. They must wear some eye protective system when they are examining the piece, because it also causes their effect on their eyes because of constant viewing this particular part. So you have to take a eye protector glass or something, so that you check through eyeglasses only. Now, test piece surface must be clean, free of oil, paint and thread. This is also a very serious precaution that you have to take, that before putting the piece on the machine or anywhere, you have to clean it properly so that there is no oil, paint or threads are remaining there, because sometimes they can give a misindication, false indication, and you may think that this is a crack. So it has to be properly cleaned. Then inspector must be fully trained of all controls and their application. Okay, that is a very prime requirement. The person who is checking this, that inspector or operator, he must be fully aware about the machine, about its control, about the magnetization process, whether he is doing circular or magnetization, what type of cracks he want to detect. So accordingly, he has to use particular type of magnetization. So all these things, and about salt and about the bath also, that bath is okay or not, magnetic bath is okay or not. So all this knowledge has to be there with the trained person. So whosoever is checking, he must be a trained person. This is one of the prime requirement for this MPI inspection. Then eye power of the operator must be checked at fixed interval, because they are constantly watching something, so their eye power may get reduced, or sometimes they have a lower eye power and they check it, so that will also get more damage. So it is required that they should be checked maybe 6 monthly or maybe on yearly basis through a particular doctor to check their eye power, and if it is less, they should not be allowed to check the MPI system. So this is also a very prime requirement, that eye power of the operator must be checked from time to time. Now, what are the problems being observed and what are their solutions? So the first one is suspect tag or indications not visible. It happens sometimes that you are not finding it. In case, the only thing is you have to ensure that bath strength is okay or not, whatever bath you have made, and then verify with the pi gauge also whether cracks are visible or not. So if the cracks are visible and again you check it, something wrong, then you have to make a fresh bath. you see the current also requirement, and then you check it again. So this is one of the solution of this particular thing. Then the point 2 is only horizontal cracks observed and not vertical or radial cracks. This depends upon what type of magnetization you are doing. Do longitudinal or combined magnetization, because if you are doing circular magnetization, you can see only horizontal cracks. You cannot see vertical cracks. So this has to be taken care that what magnetization you are doing, longitudinal, or even if you do combined, then it can reveal both circular as well as longitudinal cracks, and then sometimes radial cracks also you can see it. So this is the advantage of doing this combined magnetization. Then bath color appears white under UV. This is also one of the things which happens, and this I have experienced personally. So sometimes you see the bath gets white color or milky color, and you go on continuously doing it. Why it gets milky color? Because of continuous you are using it, and in that case it gets adulterated also sometimes with various outside elements, and then it gets milky color. So you should not do it. You have to change that. In that case, bath is diluted due to several uses. Change the bath with proper strength. Then again you have to change the entire system. You have to vacate that total system, that tank, and then you fill it up with a proper bath with proper strength and confirm the bath strength through this checking of this centrifuge method which I have earlier explained. Then sparking observed during operation. Ensure rigidity of the test piece. This is again a primary requirement, and copper pads at the ends are also required so that they take care of high magnetic current. Then false indication. Sometimes threads in the bath stick on the test piece and appears as crack. Wipe out the test piece and remagnetize and check. It happens sometimes when you are cleaning the bath, some of the threads which are involved with this cloth or something, they get stuck up. And particularly if this pass is having some marks, machining mark, round marks or something, then they go into the root of that machining mark and they stuck there. And when you are doing magnetizing and passing the current and even bath also, then they are not coming out, they remain there. And when you see under that, you feel that this is a crack, but this is not a crack. And if you see properly, you will see that color is also not green or yellow, it will be having some milkish color or white color. So this indication are false indication. So this is one of the thing. So these are the various problems and their possible solution during working of this MPI. Then the last part is application and advantages of MPI. The first is MPI is applicable to ferromagnetic, which I have in the first I have explained this. This is not suitable for non-ferrous. There's a limitation of this system. It is one of the widely used non-destructive test detection of surface and CS. This is generally used most of the cases because it is fast X also. The third part is fast examination method, because if you check the cracks by any other method, maybe sometimes people do this acid etching, pickling or something, but it takes very long time. But when you do this magnetic particle inspection, it takes very less time, and the accuracy is also quite good in case of if it is a crack, subsurface or surface cracks are there. So that accuracy as well as fast quickness is also there. Wherever the production requirement is very high, then you have to use only MPI, no other technique. Then the fourth one is heavy jobs or weldments can be checked for cracks using dry powder method. This I have earlier also explained you during this prod magnetization, that heavy castings or rough surfaces, or in case of heavy jobs, okay, very steel and other thing. In that case also you cannot put it on the fixed machine. So you have to check through this portable system, whether prod method or yoke method, and then you have to check the crack and other thing. Then the fifth advantage is portable and low cost. The equipments are not very costly, so it can be used, and they are portable also. It can be taken anywhere. Very useful in detection of small and large sticks at raw material stage step down test. This is in case of forging industry, you are using raw material, and raw material may contain some big sticks or fine indications are there. So in that case, it has been advised also that you have to go for a step turning test, and by using this MPI system. So in this, it reveals very fine cracks or even streaks, large streaks are there, and then you have to evaluate whether this steel quality is okay or not. So step turning test that also uses MPI. So these are the advantages and application of this MPI system. I think I have explained to a large extent, and all of you must be benefiting with this particular slide. An earlier part also which I have made before that, 7 parts, you must see them also, and you will be benefited. You show it to your friends, show to your WhatsApp group also members who are in that particular job, so that they also get knowledge, and then they can use in their regular working at their organization. Okay, so with this I think I have covered most of the thing. Now the next part will come, part 9, which will be on DPT, means dye penetrant test. So this part I will be covering. This will be the last part of the MQC series 1. Okay, by this part 9, my series 1 will finish. Then maybe I can go for a second series. But at this time, the part 9, which is next, will come. It will be a last part on this MQC series 1. So I am very thankful to all of you who have devoted their spare time to see this video. And you please comment also. If you feel some suggestion, something, you can comment also. Any inquiries there, I have also mentioned in the description my email ID. You can write to me also in that case. Okay. So, thank you very much. Thanks a lot.